I think if you look at Ben Watson, I'll be surprised. I'll bet you next season he'll play for England.
Really?
And that's because he's very unique. You don't see other English players. Ben Watson could have been born in Holland, Spain, just technically he's as good as he gets. Then I think the difference with Ben Watson is the tactical work that he's done. He plays in a different situation now, in a different position on the pitch, and it's very similar. I see similarities with Xabi Alonso when he was at Liverpool and now he's gone to Real Madrid. They are very, very similar. You don't get English players with that tactical awareness and that technical ability. I'll be very surprised if Ben Watson doesn't play for England next season. That's how far he's come.
Do you think he sits under the radar a bit, that he does a lot of work that a lot of people don't realise, and if he was to leave then it would fall apart like Liverpool did with Alonso?
Well, it's been that important. I would agree with you. I would agree with you that it's been that important for us because it's someone that gives you that balance. When you're attacking, he always keeps the team well, solid and well organised. But he's the man that he starts the first pass, and he's got that quality: short pass, long pass. If you look at it's a great goal against Birmingham, the winning goal against Birmingham. If you watch him, that's a typical example of what we work and what we are as Wigan Athletic. We had 20 passes with great composure, great patience, and then that change of pace, it came from Ben Watson's pass in between lines, and that's what Ben can give you, and that's real talent. I agree with you that it's so important when you want to play that way, but I still think that Ben is still got room for improvement.
Do you think he's underestimated because of the club he plays for as well? And look at Leighton Baines.
Well, I think yes. I think football people, they noticed him because the comments that I got and when they speak, it was very funny. We had we got links with Trainshine, which is a team that we invited over, and they watched the Blackburn Rovers game, and is a Dutch guy that he plays Sri Ling. He played for Holland and now he's taken over there and he's developed a great project for 3 years. They watched a game and they came to the training ground. We played a friendly against them and they said best player Ben Watson in the 4-3 against Blackburn, and that was so refreshing for someone that is coming from the moon, and he arrives here and he just makes an assessment and he says number 8 best player on the park, and that hits you, and he says, oof. It'll take a while, but I think Ben will get the credit that he deserves.
Did you always plan for him to play in that more withdrawn role? Because I must admit, when we signed him, I thought he was a great signing, but I never expected him to play the role that he's playing now.
No, I think I was in Crystal Palace. I watched him play at Crystal Palace a lot, and he always played in a 4-4-2, played box-to-box role. Then he came to us, and he played in that role again, and probably that was harder for him to impose in the game, because when he is ahead of the ball, you're losing his real quality. He needs to be behind the ball. He needs to be the first one to stop the play. He needs to be the first one to get the ball from the back. And we work at it. To play in that role, you have to be very, very aware tactically. And it took him 6 months. I sent him to West Brom last season because they were playing that system. And it was just for him to start him, to get him thinking that way. And he came back and he gave us a lot last season, if you remember, in the games against Arsenal, West Ham away. He really had a big impact. But still, off the ball, it didn't have that tactical awareness that is developed this season. But that was always the plan. But when you got these sort of ideas or thoughts about players, they don't come overnight. They take time. And the way he's been performing, he's got an average of between 65 and 75 passes per game. There's not many players in the Premier League they do that.
And he rarely gives it away, does he?
No.
A few people about his, have a little grumble about his corners though.
Yeah. Oh yeah, sorry, he gives it away every corner.
I think we need to help him a little bit. I think
I suspect he's perfect in training though, because I think Jimmy Bullard was the same. People, when he was on the pitch,
yes,
his corners and free kicks were sometimes rough, but I heard at the time, he could put the ball on sixpence in training. So.
In training, we obviously we got the training pitch. We got one training pitch is exactly the same size, the DW Stadium, and honestly, from 10 corners, he was perfect in every single one of them. And then he comes here, and we don't help him at all. You can see him taking the corner, and you can hear the crowd over. I would say, Ben, just give them the ball, just don't take it. It would be a great difference if every time you get a corner, you get a standing ovation. Guarantee you. Well, you'll see the difference. Just try the first corner, give him a standing ovation. Then it's just.
Roberto, in fact, Jonathan, you might be answering. There's rumours flying around now about possibly signing experienced players on a pay-as-you-go deal. Owen Hargreaves was mentioned, Michael Owen. Whether Roberto, may answer next. Could you accommodate something like that? Jonathan, would it be good for bums on seats?
What kind of players are you talking
Well,
about?
Michael Owen was mentioned. Don't get me wrong, I think it's that type of play. If somebody like that, you could get it to come on and pay as you play, would it be good for bums on seats?
I'm not sure really. I mean, we've got top quality players now, international superstars, and we work hard to get the attendances up as high as we can. We know, we've gone over that in the last couple of meetings. It will all depend on football reasons.
Obviously, it would be whether Rob could accommodate somebody like that.
Absolutely.
But you don't think it would help boost season ticket sales or raise the profile?
Anything that helps, we would consider, but we wouldn't do it just for that reason. It would have to be for footballing reasons.
A little bit. You always need to measure the balance. If you got a player that is going to be on 2 or 3 times the salary that the other players are, sometimes it's not really healthy to have it, even if it's pay as you go or pay as you play. I never believe in short-term strategies. If we're going to get a big name star that is going to start playing, and then we're going to get an extra 2,000 fans that they don't really have the club at heart, and then if that player doesn't perform and he cannot perform, and then we lose the fans, I think it becomes a negative. What I'm excited is about the game against West Ham. We had the best crowd of the season in terms of numbers. If you don't come back after that game, we just better forget about trying to get bigger numbers.
Yeah.
I always said I prefer the good quality fans that we've got, and forget about numbers. We said time after time that we don't want to lose players. The reality is that we are in a period that we need to lose players, but we need to buy them young before they reach their peak, allow them to help the club to progress, and then sell them the best moment of their career and get the high prices. When you're being a player that is pay as you play, is not a value really as an asset, and we need assets where we are. Yes, we need to play good football, and we need to progress, and we need to have a clear idea how we play and the concepts throughout the football club, but we need to generate income, because we need to make that step up. I'm not talking about winning the league, but I'm talking about getting into, I don't want to see Sunderland or Newcastle or clubs like that they got a bigger fan base, if you want, or the bigger structure. I feel we can compete against these football clubs, but for that we need to invest, sell our assets and bring other assets and work on that. And you'll never get that with players that they are at the end of their careers. It's the easiest thing for a manager. It's easier to bring a player that is had 300 games at this level. It's very easy. You don't have to tell them much. But in the future plans of the football club is what we're going to do next, because you lose a player like that and there's no replacement. You haven't got money to replace them. It's very, very difficult.